Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to Joe's Stunner Boxing. Tyler Denny becomes the new English middleweight champion. He wins a 10-round decision over River Wilson Bent. This was a rematch of their first fight, which was last year, which was a draw, technical draw, I think. There was a cut over Wilson Bent's left eye, and Wilson Bent suffered cuts over both eyes in this fight, but the fight wasn't stopped. In fact, this is Tyler Denny's fourth attempt at the English title. Rhys Cartwright stopped him in 2018. That was in 8 rounds. And then, let me get this right, it was, apart from the draw with River Wilson Bent, Linus Adofia outpointing him in 2019. So he's had those 3 attempts, fourth time lucky for Tyler Denny. He's 30 years old now, southpaw fighter, and it meant the world to him afterwards. He jumping up and down in the ring. It was a split decision, by the way, so he must have been on absolute tenterhooks, But you can't begrudge the guy. I mean, he's been a great servant to the sport. He's got 13 wins, 2 defeats, 3 draws now. It's one of those careers where he's given everything to the game, and the fact that he's now got a title. It's really good. Maybe he can push on for a British title shot. I don't know. Is he good enough for the British title? Depends who he fights. Because this fight was... It's really weird because Denny looked to me like a young Nigel Benn. Not in terms of his boxing, but, well, maybe his stance. He had the wide leg stance. He'd sort of move forward in a sort of... some slight upper body movement, and then he'd fire winging punches. But amazingly, he hasn't got a single KO to his name, even though on numerous occasions he did shake River Wilson Bent. So he may have looked like Nigel Benn aesthetically, from a distance, but in terms of power, it's chalk and cheese, But like I say, he was shaking Wilson Bent. River Wilson Bent was stung in the second and third round by individual punches. I think what's lacking with Denny is technique, because he does have that air of someone who came to boxing late. I don't know whether that's true or not. But it looks like he didn't pick up the game until he was maybe in his early 20s. I could be totally wrong about that. If I am wrong, correct me. But he doesn't have much, there's not much slickness there. There's not much refinement. He's a guy who tends to sort of swing forward. He's not entirely crude, but his punch technique is a little bit lacking. He doesn't really fire that many combinations. When he's up close, he might do a bit of shoe shining or a bit of punches in clusters, but there's no real high ring IQ rhyme or reason to it. Whereas River Wilson Bent did have some slick moves. Now, River Wilson Bent is he's younger. He's 28 years old. Orthodox fighter, although he did spend a lot of this fight, I think, in the southpaw stance, which is a little bit weird, but he was feeling the pace. Like I say, in the second and third round, he was outboxing Denny, but there were a couple of occasions when Denny landed some individual punches that did seem to sting Wilson Bent, and he was doing a fair bit of mauling and holding, not really using his height advantage. Possibly, I think he's got a reach advantage. I don't know how many inches. But he was allowing Denny to get up close and personal a bit too much. And the referee, I thought he was a little bit overzealous. He took a point off in the 7th round off River Wilson Bent for holding. Maybe a warning or two could have preceded that. But he took a point off. And was it the same round that River Wilson Bent picked up the first of his cut eyes? I think it was. I've only just watched the fight, so I haven't watched it back yet. So I think it was a really bad round for Wilson Bent. But even though at times he'd flop on his stool between rounds and look quite forlorn, he always seemed to come back. He wasn't busy enough, really. But then I don't know, really. Neither of these guys were throwing punches consistently. And there were little pockets when Wilson Bent would sort of wake up and he'd fire some punches and he'd sort of go back to sleep almost. And he allowed Denny to be more effective than perhaps he should have been letting him be. I'm not sure when the second cut over the other eye occurred. The first cut was over the left eye, and the second cut, I think it was in the last round, because the last round was definitely one of the most action-packed, probably the most action-packed, and they were really swapping punches. And in fairness to Wilson Bent, even though Tyler Denny was more aggressive, he did kind of contain him more. He was firing back more. He was being a bit more cavalier with his own punches. And he probably, I think I gave him that round, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. He finished the fight with 2 cut eyes. Tyler Denny didn't have a mark on him, but he was suffering. He was feeling the pace also. I mean, it wasn't like he was fresh as a daisy, far from it. These English title fights are 10 rounds, not 12. And had it been a 12-rounder, I mean, I would have edged towards Denny, but they were both looking very, very fatigued. But in the last round, knowing it was the last round, they let it all hang out. I gave that round to Wilson Bent. I wasn't really scoring the fight. I wasn't writing it down anyway. I was in my head. I was kind of scoring it, and I think I had it 97, 93. No, was it? No, 97, 92 with the point off for Denny. Like I say, it was a split decision. 96, 94 was in favour of Wilson Bent was one judge, and then we had 97, 93 and 96, 93, I think it was, with the other judge. So it was a close fight, but I think the right man won. And again, you know, this English title is a springboard to bigger things, or can be. Well done to Tyler Denny. He's got himself a belt. River Wilson Bent can come back. He's got to go away. He has got, I'd say he's the more skillful fighter of the two. He's got some skills. Maybe he can pick this title up further down the line, or maybe even fight for the British and win it. But good little tussle. Good little tussle. Did you see it? It's on Sky. It was on Sky. It was on the undercard of the Boxer, BOXXER card on Sky with Sam Eggington in the main event. And I enjoyed this little fight, yeah. So what did you think if you saw it? Leave your comments below, as always. And thank you for your time, as always, watching these videos. I really do appreciate it. If you could subscribe if you're new, hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to the channel. Like the video, that helps us out as well. And we will speak again sometime soon. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.